Hey everyone, welcome back to DR Sports, Talking Tactics with me and Matisse. Matisse,
yes.
Managerless Chelsea.
Yes, this is what we do.
This is what you do.
This is the history of Chelsea. I've come historic today. I've come a little bit more, heritage. This is what we do. This is where we're birthed, where we're born.
I was wondering what the shirt was.
Feels very familiar. Yeah, I've gone with like 3 tops in one.
Fair enough.
And yeah.
Well, 3 managers in one season, 3 tops in one top. There you go. See? We'll pretend you meant that. We've got plenty to talk about. We are going to do the manager sacking stuff at the very end of the show. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it's not because there are discussions on the tactical side of things to talk about, obviously.
Yeah.
But there's obviously kind of a lot more around all that. And that includes Brendan Rodgers, we'll talk about, and a little bit about Tottenham.
Yeah.
I want to start today, painful as it is as an Arsenal fan, I want to give Man City a lot of credit. A lot of praise.
Yeah.
In fact, I might have done more kind of numbers and breakdowns on City's performance in this game than I probably have done certainly on City all season, because I don't think City have reached all season the level that they reached against Liverpool. But also I just think they really like put it was a statement, wasn't it?
Statement, yeah. It was a proper statement win.
It was, because I thought Liverpool played quite well in the first half, actually.
Yeah, Liverpool in the first half were going toe-to-toe with City. It wasn't some sort of dominating display from City from the off. It was 1-1 at half-time and fair. Liverpool got their goal on the counter. Obviously, Jota coming in. I think Jota was, for me, Liverpool's strongest player out there in that first half. I really enjoyed him. He was like playing 2 different positions. He was kind of playing as a support striker to Salah. Gakpo kind of playing in that number 10, just kind of linking up the midfield and the attack. But Jota off the left side was getting through a lot of work, tracking back, getting back in shape, trying to help out Henderson, because we know the legs in this area is not the best in between the lines. So Jota was really important. But they get their goal. They could have probably got another as well. A little bit of better decision making from Salah would have helped out. But Liverpool were holding their own. But then what came in the second half was insane. I think one thing I took from the first half is that I could see problems were arising for Liverpool in the future, because as good as Fabinho and Alisson, the build-up play kind of improved as the game went on. There was a couple of little errors from Van Dijk and Alisson at the beginning, and then they kind of just sorted themselves out. Fabinho on the ball was really strong, played the ball in between the lines for the goal. But off the ball, you could see Liverpool were going to have problems later on. Yeah,
and off the ball, they tried to go for this 4-4-2. That's why I've lined them up like that, because really it was a 4-3-3. Salah did a lot of his running down the right channels and doing the right forwards thing he does. I mean, and we all kind of saw the 11 and thought it'd look something like this, but it was much more off the ball, a case of Elliott coming out to try and help Trent, Salah pressing with Gakpo, and almost sort of pressing as a 4-2-4 sometimes. Yeah. They put a lot of trust in the legs of Henderson and Fabinho. I also think it's the fact that they maybe don't trust Elliott to do the job on the kind of right central midfield space defensively.
Yeah.
I'm not James Milner's biggest fan in terms of what he can offer this Liverpool team this season. Yeah. You wonder whether maybe he's a little bit more suited to playing in that position or that role that Elliott was used in. But I agree. I thought Liverpool actually started okay and were, I thought, going punch for punch and showing a willingness to press, showing a willingness to chase Man City around the pitch. And actually, we're looking quite sharp in terms of their passing, creating a few things. And I thought Salah's goal was earned. I thought Liverpool looking quite good.
Struggling, Ake and Akanji. They were really struggling, I think.
Well, they are left a little exposed in this system that Guardiola deploys. And the thing is, you can liken it to what Arsenal do, because they play the 3-2-5 with Zinchenko and Partey. But the difference is that Man City hold this shape rather than Zinchenko drifting to left back and often operating that space. Stones, might come across and cover, but these two were interchanging all day in terms of, the playmaking responsibilities. I thought Stones and Rodri was so fascinating as a base two as well.
Yeah, I thought Stones was insane to watch in this match. We've seen Rico Lewis play this role. Yeah. We've seen, other options be applied, but in terms of John Stones, a real centre-back, I think he had the most progressive passes in the World Cup for England, and then that his performances there were really noted as well. And he's just such a good footballer. He's so intelligent, and we've seen him use so many defenders in this position, whether it be Rico Lewis, like we said, we've seen Philip Lahm kind of adjust his game to that Kimmich, but John Stones involved in one of the goals. If you see the build-up play, and he's just slowly drifting through the different phases from first to second to third, and he's just giving his little give and goes, and he's picking it up, laying it back off, very good and comfortable in tight spaces, very aware of his surroundings. played like a midfielder, had no problems adjusting to it. So just very intelligent,
He was immense. Another player that came in was obviously Alvarez, forced because of the Haaland injury. Now, I was listening to the Gary Neville podcast, and he was alluding to something. I tried to find the quotes, and I found one quote which I'll bring up in a sec, but he was alluding to Guardiola, probably enjoying that win more than any he has this season because of the interchanging and the fluidity, the role that Alvarez has to play. And he was saying that Guardiola is quite open about what he loves that Alvarez offers that he knows that he's not going to get from Haaland. So then I tried to look at this quote. What's Guardiola said? And I found this, and I don't know if it feeds into it, but Guardiola on Alvarez after the game to BT Sport said, not just the goal, the assist, and the second, the third, helping in both and everything, except the first actions that he lost the ball. He was with the ball so clever. So I think the club made an incredible signing for this price. He's playing for the national team for Argentina, World Cup champion, and he's playing there alongside Messi because he has something. And it was really good for him. Now, apologies, Guardiola speaks very quickly, trying to make as much sense as possible. But I think what he's saying is that in his role in the second and third, helping in both and then everything. I think he's talking about his contribution to his movement, his link up, everything. And I think you see it a little bit, maybe it's not the best example, but you see it on that first goal a little bit. Where is it? Alvarez goal, here we go. Where you've got Mahrez and Grealish really stretching the pitch, both of them. But it's the way Alvarez, in fairness, at this point it comes to Gundogan, but it's the way that they've stretched the pitch and there's kind of a willingness to kind of be close to the players like Gundogan, Mahrez was he running inside. Haaland, as unbelievable as he is, you feel like he's going to finish the move off like Alvarez did. I mean, we'll show it here. Yeah. But Alvarez, there's something about his kind of movement and intelligence and the positions he picks up that sort of drags the Liverpool players out of position and allows then City to carve them apart the way they did.
Yeah, I think for me, the thing with Alvarez is that I noticed when we played against Chelsea, we played Manchester City twice in a row. One in the league where they beat us at Stamford Bridge and Haaland was in that game. And that was kind of like the City that hadn't really fully reached their high heights yet. And they were still trying to work things out. And then we played them again in the Cup. Where they destroyed us, and that was with Alvarez up top. And he's one of those players that Liverpool defenders don't want to come up against. I said before the match on my own watch-along as well, I feel like they would have preferred to play Haaland because in the reverse fixture at Anfield, it was Gomez and it was Van Dijk. They kept a clean sheet, probably their best defensive performance as a pairing and individually this season. They loved it. They could see the crosses coming in. They were going up for the duels. They could get into that combat with Haaland. Whereas with Alvarez, you can't do it because he's dropping off. He's getting between the lines in the pockets. He's linking up play. His movements. He's really nippy. He's kind of more of that Sergio Aguero, kind of Carlos Tevez, Luis Suarez kind of build, and less away from that, target man that's really right up, that you can get right up against. So I think Liverpool defenders, they don't like this type of profile. And I remember even when we played them with Kai Havertz last season, they didn't enjoy it in the cup finals, whereas Lukaku, as soon as they played him, destroyed, wrapped him up.
I agree. And look, we're going to do more praising of Man City in a second when I go through Stones and Grealish's numbers. But before I do, as we're looking at this goal, look, I've given Liverpool credit for how they started the game. I really did think they actually started quite well. And I will say that I think Rodgers should have been sent off, and that's 1-0, and I think that's a different game. Yeah. So they could have won. But in the end, I think when you look at the 90 minutes, City was so dominant and so brilliant for a lot of it. And even at 1-0 down, we're creating chances. Mahrez had a good opportunity. But I want to talk about Liverpool's defending because it's awful. Yeah. It's really bad. And my thing is, I just watch from Mahrez. Okay, Mahrez and Grealish, they stretch the pitch so well. That makes it difficult because what you've got is Robertson's committed to the press and they've been pulled all over and Henderson's trying to get back to help. But it's the lack of engagement here. It's the lack of, Van Dijk I know it's Mahrez. I know he's brilliant.
He just glides past him. Yeah, it happens so many times with Van Dijk.
It's like he doesn't want to go to ground, or he doesn't want to just commit a foul or something.
We've seen that before from Van Dijk, and this is why they say at times it's aura defending. He's defending with aura because it doesn't feel like he always wants to get down and dirty and make those challenges, make those fouls and get stuck in. He seems to just follow his man across the space. And it happened numerous times where Van Dijk got dribbled past. He's stepping up into that midfield to try and close down those combinations because Fabinho and Henderson are not able to deal with it. But he's stepping in, he's not doing anything. He's not winning the ball, he's not making a foul, he's not putting any sort of physicality into the challenge.
He's not slowing Mahrez down, or at least saying, I'm going to put you on your right.
He's not shielding, he's not blocking off the run or showing him onto his beaker. He's not doing anything. He's just coming in to just be there, just for the sake of it. So that's my major criticism of him.
Do you remember Arsenal's opening goal against Liverpool when it was a very similar thing? Saka came off and dragged Van Dijk centrally, popped into Odegaard, who slipped in. Martinelli, this time he had the shot on goal rather than a cutback, but it was very similar. When you do beat Liverpool's press, because the fullback's gone up and you're left 3-on-3, especially if you're attacking the Van Dijk side, you don't get that engagement. So you just drift in field and you can do what you want. And the thing is, and I don't know if I'm being harsh here, but when that's played across, you're thinking at least bust a gut to get back into the box or something.
Do you remember
Henderson runs beyond him?
Do you remember when Van Dijk went, like, I don't know how long it was, a long time without being dribbled past?
Yeah.
It was a long time. It maybe felt like a year. 18 months. This guy he wasn't like this.
Big up AGT in the background,
The fall off since his injury is really something this season.
And I do sympathise, by the way, because knee injuries, when coming back from them, I remember talking to Dr. Raj Brar, who came on AFTV about it. They are borderline impossible to come back from at your very best because of the nature of the movement you put on it. It's a confidence thing too. And
he's quick as well, so he does always kind of not rely upon, but that's part of his
pace
game.
is a big thing, recovery pace, all that.
Especially playing that high line as well.
I just thought that it's the way they played through and there was no engagement, but then Henderson, who starts the move all the way back here, is the one in the box the most likely to stop Alvarez. That doesn't feel right. And I know people will get at Henderson for his role in this team, I understand, but at least the effort's there, you know? And I just think Liverpool...
But I did see on a graph that Henderson did not cover much ground in this game. Trent covered a lot of ground, to be fair to him. I did sympathise with Trent on one of the goals.
How much do you blame Trent on this?
Trent the whole day just looked like he looked like he was a lost puppy out there with Grealish.
I feel sorry for him.
I do feel sorry for him.
It's all been like,
and
it's all gone wrong in front of him, so he's got to just deal with the mess.
Exactly, and I don't think it's this goal. It might be the next one where it's 2v1. I think, and it's De Bruyne and it's Grealish, and it's like, you have no chance out here. There's no cover. It's almost like they didn't want to go out to them. That's later on in the second half, to the point where Grealish is ripping Trent so much on that left-hand side. They're giving little... And De Bruyne's coming out there, they're combining with him, so he's dealing with the both of them. And you've got these lovely little deft passes from De Bruyne, lovely little scooped passes and reverse passes to De Bruyne from Grealish and Gundogan linking up, the assist, obviously. And obviously he gets his goal. Grealish that was his best performance in a Manchester City shirt. So I do sympathise with Trent a little bit because it's not just him. The whole defence was poor. And Grealish was on it. He was so aggressive. I think Grealish actually started off a left winger type revolution this weekend, because then St. Maximin followed up, and then Rafael Leao followed up against Napoli as well in a 4-0 slapping.
I will say Martinelli was also brilliant a couple hours later. That's just kind of standard. No, listen, you're right. He was immense. And actually, we're going to go into his numbers in a sec, so I want to give him full credit as well as John Stones. The last thing I'll say on Trent is, he did the thing that I know Trent does brilliantly. He played a brilliant ball into Jota, they end up scoring. When I look at everything around, I just think, yes, he should have more of an eye on Grealish. Yes, it's not great, but I know he didn't do brilliant on all the goals, but I just think the way they set up Liverpool defensively, because in that second goal you mentioned, the De Bruyne one, it's the flip, it's the reverse. Trent's gone all the way to press, and they're left in a back three. But I can only think that's instruction. If Robertson's doing it one side, then Trent's doing it the other, and then ultimately it's a back three getting pulled apart by the widest front three you'll see in the league. I just think, yes, he could do better, but he is not being given a good platform to do well.
The failure to deal with the little combinations, give and goes and 1-2s in the centre of the pitch was Liverpool's overall downfall, in my opinion, because you're expected to win some tackles, you're expected to make some interceptions, you're expected to retrieve the ball in those areas. And if they were able to handle the midfield battle, Trent wouldn't have had to deal with the amount of opportunities Grealish had to run at him. You're going to have 1v1 situations with Grealish. It's going to happen. But the sheer actual volume of it was just ridiculous. It was like every minute. It was just, honestly, it was too much. He couldn't handle it. So I do feel like their inability to cope with the combinations in the middle, it was the catalyst for everything, because they just could not win the ball back in those areas.
And you mentioned Grealish. He ranked first for the amount of shots in the game with 27 passes in the attacking third. That he ranked third for that. By the way, Mahrez ranked brilliantly for all these, and Mahrez deserves massive credit for his performance.
Yeah, he's really good as well. Could have scored more.
Take-ons, apparently, not take-ons. So he ranked fourth with 2. And he won 4 fouls in the game as well. And of course, he got himself a goal and an assist. And Man City fans have been saying, I hear Hugh on Big Six, Big Steve has said it as well. Every City fan has been saying, look, forget the goals and assists. He's playing in a team that's been winning titles or won it last season because Pep Guardiola trusts him to do a certain job. And if he's in the team, that means he's doing it. And I was sort of 50-50. Like, I understood the Grealish critics as well, saying, sure, but he needs to see a little bit more magic and he needs to see a little bit more when he's got the ball. But he's really come to life, mainly the last 3-4 months, sort of post-World Cup. But this performance was probably his best in a City shirt. I thought he was super.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. He was a joy to watch. Very aggressive, brilliant decision-making, wonderful weight of pass, wonderful choices in his decisions, and in the final third, great finish for the goal, wonderful assist. He was brilliant. It was fantastic.
I think he came on in the Manchester derby. I don't think he started, but I think he came on
and got the goal.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yes, he got the goal and looked really good.
Yeah.
I think that might have been a bit of a catalyst for him. And John Stones, 96% pass completion from
ridiculous.
Who's not a natural midfielder. 55 times he received the ball, completed all 18 of his passes in the defensive third. Considering Liverpool pressing high as well, that's not bad.
Gakpo in there to deal with.
And then this shows you how rushed I am when I make these. He's unbelievable, 34 out of 25 passes completed.
That is a stat for you. I've never seen that.
He's completed more than he attempted. You've never seen anything like it. Obviously meant to be 35. People don't get it. Only gave the ball away twice in the attacking third. He was unbelievable. 2 tackles, 2 clearances. Did his job superbly. I think we'll leave it there on that game. I'm fully expecting Liverpool to bounce back and respond against Arsenal. I do think at Anfield...
They've got Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on Tuesday, so it's a double header for Liverpool in this week. Not easy.
I actually predict... I don't think they'll be at it at the Bridge.
You're feeling,
but I think they'll be brilliant at Anfield against us.
So it's a tough week to have to play City. Well, we're not really that tough, but yeah.
Well, if they don't mind being
City and Arsenal,
it's a tough week.
Tough week.
Got to travel to 11th.
Yeah,
sorry.
We're top of the second page. That's how
that
I see
is
it.
true. Congrats.
Thank you. 8 points clear of Palace, I think.
No,
should be able to win it.
We'll be talking about you in a bit.
No, we won't.
Let's talk about Newcastle and Man United, and we'll start with Man United.
Yeah. Horrendous.
What is
horrendous?
What is this? This actually upsets me.
Absolutely horrendous. This performance from Erik ten Hag, I'm shocked. I've given him so much praise this season.
So nice.
I've been so nice. I've praised so much. But this is genuinely one of the worst performances from Manchester United I've seen this season. Now, they've come up against a Newcastle team who are best defensive record in the league. I think they've now scored the same amount of goals as Manchester United as well. A little bit of revenge from the Carabao Cup. Chasing top 4. They had a fully fit team apart from Almiron. You saw it in the strength of the bench coming on as well. With Callum Wilson coming on, with Gordon coming on, with Joe Linton coming on. And it was going to be a tough game, make no mistake. But to go to St James's Park and not even compete, outside of the first 10, 13 minutes when Anthony was having a little bit of joy. Then he takes off Anthony on 60. I didn't get that. Probably your best attacker. Rashford was an anomaly. I don't know, maybe if he's not completely fit because he wasn't taking on Trippier with the same aggression that St Maximin was taking on Dalot. He absolutely destroyed him this game. Again, it was so fun to watch. He was just going at him constantly. Sometimes St Maximin dribbles in a way where you don't even know what he's going to do next. I don't know if he knows what he's going to do next.
No, I don't think he does.
Just kind of flames his arms around and he does his step overs.
Absolute chaos, but I love him.
He's chaos, but he's so fun to watch. And he was incredible. But the thing is with Manchester United and the thing is with Ten Hag is to play Fernandes, and we spoke about it before recording, to play Fernandes as your kind of controller. What is this? This man is not a controller. This is your controller. This Bruno. I think he got his Brunos confused. I've got a Bruno in charge as well as interim. There's a lot of Brunos going around right now. But this guy is the real Bruno. Unbelievable footballer. So good. He can play as a 6. He can play as an 8. He can play as a 10. He's strong, he can shoot, he can pass. He is honestly one of the most complete midfielders, and he pairs up really nicely with these two who are, let's be real, they're just good, honest players. They're not nothing special, but they also had a great performance in there as well. Let me tell you, it's just fantastic.
Bruno Guimaraes, Arsenal have missed out over the years on Lucas Paqueta, Vlahovic, Lisandro Martinez. Keep naming them. Mudryk. Who else? I think Koundé at one point. Apparently, the Athletic said we wanted him.
If we're going to Wenger, we're going to have to go to Ronaldinho's and God knows what.
We can go to all that. In the Arteta era, we've missed out on a lot of players and had to settle for the second option or whatever.
That's the one you
that is
regret
the
most.
one that I've always thought. With every other player, I've gone, wow, we've kind of come out.
Dodged a bullet a bit.
Guimaraes, not, and I know we didn't really fully go in for him in that January. Maybe we were waiting some or whatever.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, we didn't get Guimaraes, but that is the player I think.
He's unbelievable.
Xhaka's in unbelievable form, but just for depth there, just for depth to Partey, he is everything our squad needs right now.
He's everything everybody needs. He walks into the Man United team. He walks into the Liverpool team, he walks into the Chelsea team, he walks into the Tottenham team, he walks into everybody's team bar yours, and I still actually believe that once he got going, I think he'd kick out Xhaka as well. Like, he is just that good. Trippier was great down the right-hand side, really good combination play of Murphy. I wasn't too sure about Murphy when he was in the lineup, because he's a little bit, when he came to the Emirates, more of like a defensive choice by Eddie Howe, but he had a really good game down the flanks. It was the flanks that Man United couldn't deal with. Both flanks were just ripping the fullbacks apart, but especially St. Maximin versus Dalot. Dalot could not cope. Only 7 touches for Weghorst in this game as well, same as Lukaku against.
You know what? Like, I get the Weghorst thing to a degree. I don't rate him massively.
But he's so cheap that it doesn't really.
But what is this?
This is what really makes you angry. No. How many goals did he score for Scotland in the international break?
Was it 4 or something?
Yeah, listen, for Scotland he plays as a 10.
I play as a 10 on Sunday mornings. But I'm not playing at a Premier League level. I get it. No disrespect.
This here is a farce.
I'm not.
Manchester United Football Club. I've seen Rooney. I've seen Berbatov. I've seen Tevez. I've seen Ronaldo. I've seen a lot. This as your front.
Look, I'm not going to do a Rodgers and disrespect Scotland. Okay, I'm not going to do a Rodgers and disrespect Scotland. But that is the farce of the front two. And the thing is, right? I know what he's trying to do here. He's basically gone. Guimaraes is the heartbeat of this team. So they put McTominay on him. And then Bruno Fernandes can try and create from deep because you've got runners like Rashford, someone can hold up the play, Anthony. Cool. Like there is, on a very surface level, a degree of logic. But there's a reason why Rodri doesn't play number 10 for City and De Bruyne is dropping, to pick up the ball off the defence. Because ultimately, you've got to have midfielders that can create and press if they're attackers,
ball carriers,
but also be distributors from deep. McTominay's got to add that to his game if he's going to be starting in this
He
Manchester
shouldn't be
United
starting
level.
for Manchester United.
Well, he shouldn't. It should be, obviously Casemiro's missing.
Yeah.
But it reminds me of when Emery played Torreira as the 10 with Xhaka and Guendouzi behind him. Now, in fairness, at least you've got a degree of ball progression in Guendouzi and Xhaka. But Torreira as that 10, it doesn't make any sense. And I just think he lost the plot here, Ten Hag.
His substitutions as well, like I said, to bring off Anthony was for me a very confusing decision because Anthony was the only forward that was actually showing any sort of sign of life in those first 10, 15 minutes before Newcastle just completely dominated. They did not test Pope at all. I think they had 1 shot on target that I could remember. Not sure if that's exactly accurate on statistics, maybe 2 max, but it was straight at him. And then obviously when he goes to then take off the 2 centre-backs and bring on Lindelof to kind of just push everybody forward, of course that's when Newcastle go and get the second with the set piece and they had so much aerial threat. This guy here, he is a really good footballer, technically. Alexander Isak, really, really comfortable in tight spaces, really good dribbler, close control, good passer. I think if he becomes an elite level finisher and really clinical, then he could be a one to watch for the future years. And Longstaff and Willock, they could add a couple more goals. I know Willock scored, but there were so many chances for those two to make this more of an embarrassing scoreline. But I
agree. Do you think Newcastle get top 4? I just want to show this. I liken it to when Arsenal played Man City and we had that fixture lingering over us for so long, the 15th of February, Man City at the Emirates, this huge, huge game. And we went through a little bit of a blip in the 2 games before. We actually lost that game. I think we were just not quite as consistent. We put 7 wins on the bounce since that. And I wonder whether Newcastle had a little bit of a similar thing with the Carabao Cup final in mind. You look at the results before, a draw with Palace, who were really struggling at the time. What is wrong with my spelling? Newcastle drew with West Ham 1-1. Apologies, this is my shocking set. Maybe we'll make it a game. I'll drop some typos in there.
Can you spot the difference?
Are you reading the graphics I'm making? They drew at Bournemouth, not a great result either, and they lost to Liverpool. We know have been struggling this season, especially away from home. But after the cup final, they actually played quite well in that City game, despite losing. Beat Wolves, beat Forest, and destroyed Manchester United, even though 2-0 probably flatters United. Do you think they're going to get top 4?
I still have them in top 4 on DR predictions whenever Robbie asks. I always continue to put them in there. More hope than expectation, because I do feel like if they fall out, it will be like a similar case of maybe a Leicester City of the previous years. West Ham were kind of flirting with it a couple of seasons ago as well. But there's no reason why not if they can keep their players fit, because they're incredibly organised. They don't concede goals. Botman and Sarr were fantastic again in defence. Dan Burn was rattling away on that left-hand side as well. They do not concede goals. They want to be, compact. They know how to defend. And then they've got Wilson, who's coming off the bench, in England international. They've got a few forwards now. If St. Maximum can really step up, I think that's the key. If he can continue...
Almiron to return.
Yeah, Almiron to return if he can get back to scoring. But if St. Maximum can step up, because Almiron's kind of already stepped up this season already. He's had a really good season. If St. Maximum can play the way he played against Dalot, then they've got a chance, because when he's playing at his best, he's a real problem to deal with.
I think Newcastle will get it, and I think that cup final, I actually really liked how honest they were in the presses after, the players. They were sort of saying, look, we needed that revenge after the cup final. We wanted one on them and all that. And I think fair play. You often hear a lot of players go, "Nah, it's not about that. We just focus on the 3 points."
Yeah, bland.
Be honest. Dan Burn was going, I hate them. I'm a Newcastle fan. I want to beat them. I love that. Like, I think there was a really nice honesty, and I think that showed in their performance. So, we need one up here after that cup final.
Because the cup final was. Newcastle played well. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, but in the second half, it just became too easy.
Opportunity to go above them, and they took it.
And this time, they've actually capitalised on it.
Well done to them. Now, let's talk about 2 managers that lost their jobs this weekend.
2 sackings. Leicester losing to Palace 2-1. Was it in the end a late last-minute winner from Mateta for Roy Hodgson? That was the final straw for Rodgers.
I did the breaking news on this channel, on DR Sports, last night, and I know you were live on your channel.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of a light bulb moment as to kind of what I thought the problem was at Chelsea and kind of why it wasn't going to work for Potter. And the conclusion I came to is this. The signings that were made, forget even the summer with Tuchel, let's just take January.
Yeah.
The signings that were made, and it's a big if they were Potter's signings, then he deserves to lose his job.
Yeah.
Because you spend that amount of money and you end up without a recognised 6 and a recognised 9. And you're tearing your spine apart by playing 2 full-backs in a back 3. Like that. I look at that, I go, cool. You're not made for this job. But if he was given those players, I remember what Todd Bowley said. A long-term vision. We want a project. We're doing things differently. We're going for a culture change. When things go wrong, which is always going to happen in a culture change, always going to happen in a complete stripping down of the club and a reinvention of who they are and what they are, when things start to go wrong, what loyalty do any of these players have to Graham Potter when there's that unspoken, he didn't really sign me, or, but I didn't really sign him, and kind of just have to all work together? Like, I just think the cohesion was never going to be there. And the one thing, and I'm sorry to keep referencing Arsenal, but of course the way they're doing, they are a good reference. When things were going really bad for Arteta, at least, the players that were there were players that wanted to play for him and that he wanted, because they had made that decision together. And that's where I feel a little bit sorry for Potter. He should be doing better with this squad, 100%.
Yeah.
It's abysmal what he's achieved.
Yeah.
And I've got his record here. Let me just quickly read it out. 31 games, 12 wins, 11 defeats. That's shocking. 1.06 goals per game, 1 goal per game conceded. That's really poor. But I don't think it was actually ever really going to work for him if whoever the manager is in this long-term project is just being thrown players.
Well, I've always said that they're club signings. And what I mean by that is it's obviously in the summer, that was Todd Boehly signings. He's a sporting director by appointment, right? By his own appointment. He sacked all of the recruitment team, whether that be Petr Cech, obviously the link between Tuchel and Marina was also on the exit as well. So he was clearly going to Barcelona, going to those meetings in person, handling all the transfer business. As soon as Christopher Vavell came in, Paul Winstanley, Lawrence Stewart, and Carl Macaulay, who came from Brighton, head of recruitment, as soon as those people came in, for me, you should not then be making those decisions on recruitment, because why would you hire all these experts from Leipzig and from Monaco and from Brighton if you're not going to use them? So they're club signings, and Potter would have been informed of who's coming in. He would have been told, this is who we feel will work for you.
But do you think he had a choice?
I think he would have had some sort of say in it. I don't think it's one person makes a decision and the rest have to follow. The whole reason they sacked Tuchel was because they wanted to be collaborative. They wanted to have conversations. So he's in the group chat. He's in the group chat on WhatsApp. He understands what's going on. He's not just seeing the player for the first time and like, oh my God, where did he come from? He knows who's being scouted for him to go into his team, etc. But away from all of that, he is making and has made tactical blunders too often to be playing or to be surviving at the top level. You have a home game. Remember all the way back to Southampton, that was where my breaking point was, where we lost at home to a caretaker manager. Same team that went and lost to Grimsby in the cup in midweek thereafter. You play a back three and you choose to play two fullbacks in there. That is just insanity. And then, ironically, the first goal comes from Cucurella not being tall enough because he can't quite get to the jump in time. Headers it back into Watkins, who that's his second one-on-one, second massive chance. The other one, he kind of, pulled wide. This time he lobs Kepa. You've got Reece James at right side centre-back. Now, at times, Tuchel used him there because of the workload of playing at wing-back and he's injury-prone.
Or to go one-on-one against a Luis Diaz in a cup final.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
But if you're going to do this, at least make sure the other centre-back is Badiashile so you can balance it out. And what I was thinking tactically is, in a back three, if you play one centre-back and one full-back, you have the option to pull people across to make it a four. Pull Chilwell back, it becomes flexible. Suddenly now you've gone from a three at the back to a four. Same works the other way if you go with Cucurella left side centre-back and you go Trevor Chalobah, who was on the bench, does refuse to keep using him. You can bring Trevor in, Cucurella moves to left back, Trevor comes inside to centre-back with Koulibaly, and back comes Reece James into right back from right wing back where he should have been playing. This is the person that can deliver the cross better than anyone. This is the person that can score a goal. Chilwell and James have been Chelsea's biggest threats from an attacking standpoint for many years now, even under Tuchel. And you limit him by playing him there and not even giving him the option to go forward. And a few times he did manage to get above the halfway line to put in a cross. He set up Enzo for an opportunity and he put in a fantastic cross that should have had somebody at the end of it right on the penalty spot. It landed and there was nobody there.
You did have a lot of chances in this game.
We had so many chances, so many shots.
It's weirdly, of all your bad results, it's probably your better performance in all the bad results.
So I don't think this was the breaking of the camel's back for Potter in terms of the performance, because this is not as bad as Southampton at all. This was actually a decent performance. We just didn't score, we didn't take our chances, and we conceded two sloppy goals. Mudryk missed two big opportunities. He's been a bit hypocritical on the way he's spoken about him in terms of him not being quite ready, and he feels like this is a pre-season for him, not playing since November in the Ukrainian league, and then he starts him in this game. So, he kind of went with Kai as this playmaker again. Felix and Mudryk were kind of exchanging this striker role or inside left role. But the substitutions as well. You don't bring on Mount, you bring on Kante, you use him as a advanced midfielder, attacking midfielder. He's having shots and he's getting on the edge of the area. We know he can't shoot. We know he can't give anything in the final third. He's Kante. For me, he just made so many errors, and he was kind of conflicting between, do I want to go long term or do I want to go, build something project wise and build a style of play and sacrifice some of the older players. But you've brought on Aubameyang against Tottenham away from home. You've started Ziyech against Tottenham after his move failed to PSG. You haven't isolated these players out. And then when we need to go at home consistently against Southampton, against this team in Aston Villa, Aubameyang's nowhere to be seen. He's not on the bench. There's no striker on the bench to bring on. So which one is it? He's been too confused and too almost like an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer personality-wise, trying to keep everybody happy. And in the end, he's lost his job because he hasn't been decisive enough.
Yeah, I sort of summed it up on DR, on the other video I did by saying the problems for me are deeper at Chelsea, because I think you can sack Potter and you're going to hire someone else, and I think they'll do better with this squad. But with the money spent and the expectations at Chelsea, I'm not going to lie to you, but okay, this season's different because now we know the circumstances, but I don't even think securing top six or challenging for top four is good enough with the money spent and the expectations that should be at the club with, as I said, the new ownership and all that. So I think it is right that Potter's gone, because I think he got far too much wrong tactically and clearly didn't know how to use this squad, at least what was good about it, to the best of its ability. But at the same time, the next appointment is going to be very, very interesting, because I don't think it fixes everything immediately. I think the real opportunity to do the fixing and make the difference you want to make is in the summer, when it comes to what you can do with the squad. With this Leicester side, this was the last Brendan Rodgers 11 that went out. And look, again, he deserved to go as well. I mean, stats from the first half against Palace: 20 shots for Palace to Leicester's 0.
Yeah.
I repeat, 20 to 0.
Wow.
5 on target, 58% of the ball to Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace. It's as shambolic a set of half-time stats I've ever seen. They are lucky they went in 0-0 at half-time. You do not ever concede 20 shots. 20 shots in a game is bad.
One half is insane.
It's mental.
Yeah.
He deserved to go purely on that. I look at this, and this feels like a Leicester 11 that's so far from what Rodgers had built. But what I will say is, I think Brendan Rodgers is a very good manager.
Yeah.
Things go wrong for him at the end of clubs, we know that. But he achieved 2 fifth-place finishes, big wins at the Etihad, wins at the Emirates, some other good results at times, and crucially won
an FA Cup
over there.
Yeah.
The FA Cup.
Even a Community Shield he won as well.
That's right.
That's significant for a team like Leicester. So
listen, it's a trophy.
He's done a really, really good job. He's done a really, really good job. And the last 18 months to 2 years has been poor. I think he could have been sacked earlier on in the season. We spoke about it many a times on this channel. Why hasn't he been sacked yet? Why have they not, why has he even not walked away? The thing is with him is that he built something so impressive with, Tielemans, Maddison, Ndidi in his top form, Fofana at the back, Schmeichel in goal, Vardy in his coming towards the end of his prime, but still delivering. That team was always going to fall off. Yeah. Contract negotiations have been stumbling for some key players. Sales have been happening as well. Lack of backing in maybe windows. Leicester fan was telling me that he's kind of disagreed with some of the scouts in terms of signings of Vestergaard and Bertrand. He's kind of pushed for those people and scouts have disagreed. Whatever have be the case, there was always going to be a fall off. Leicester are not a 5th place team. They're not a team that are challenging for the Champions League. That's not where they sit on the football pyramid. That was a massive overachievement. They were always going to have to come back down. Not this far down to relegation battle, but I think it's very difficult to motivate a team to go again when you've missed out on Champions League, which really could have changed the course for Leicester if they got that money.
And he lost Fofana for 80 million. Yeah. He's not really been able to invest too much in the squad. In January, they made a few signs. But to a degree, I feel sorry for him. But also, it's been an appalling season for Leicester. I think Leicester and Chelsea, funnily enough, are probably the 2 pound for pound worst performing teams in the league in terms of what you expected and what you're getting. I mean, if you can think of others, or Liverpool will be up there actually. Yeah. Hence why we spend a lot of time talking about these 3 teams in particular. Brendan, Leicester, Graham Potter, I think would be a great appointment.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I think Potter would do well to get straight back on the horse. Just be like, right, let's put that to bed, let's get on it.
I don't think he needs to have a big depression session over it. His time at Chelsea statistically was horrendous. Just move on from it.
Chelsea, Nagelsmann, you want Poch apparently?
Well, Poch was my favourite. Little bit of tongue-in-cheek from Abby as well, because she really wants Poch back, so I like to egg on the rivalry there, and of course that would make her really angry if we got Poch. But I think Poch is safe for me because I know him the best out of all of these guys that we're linked with in terms of he's been in club football recently at PSG. He's had that elite level club experience. Yeah. He did a fantastic job at Tottenham, especially when they was moving stadium to Wembley and not spending much money, got into a Champions League final, etc. People will say bottle job, etc. But I do believe managers can get over the final hurdle. It's happened many a time. Before, Sarri, didn't win a trophy before we got him. Ranieri, exactly. And, you look at Enrique, he's been out of club football for 6 years with the international team, a little bit up and down with Spain, Euros, World Cup, Roma, Celta Vigo, maybe MSN, probably the peak of his powers. Nagelsmann is another manager that does kind of move between formations quite a bit. I think a lot of Chelsea fans would probably want something in terms of more stable, maybe a bit of positional play. Enrique is at least more stubborn with his principles. I think that's maybe what this team needs, because there's chopping and changing constantly between formation, ideas, dominating possession, not dominating, vertical, pressing, not pressing. Just it's too much up and down. This team is really all over the place. And Nagelsmann is really young. He's only 35. I know he's had a lot of experience with Hoffenheim, with Leipzig, and he's broken all these Champions League records. Youngest manager to get here and there. And obviously Bayern Munich, was sacked probably again for circumstances that they saw Tuchel's on the market and they wanted to pounce, similar to Chelsea. I do wonder if it's one of those appointments where he's going to need a lot of time as well. He's acclimatised into the Premier League for the first time. He's young. It's got some red flags on it. I've seen some bad things, batterings in Champions Leagues, losing to Villarreal last season. I've seen some good things. So at this point, whoever comes in, it's going to be a gamble. None of these options are perfect, I don't think. Flick is not going to happen. He's staying to Germany till the Euros. None of these options are perfect.
It'll be very interesting, especially on the Tottenham front, because they didn't have that long ago much competition for managers.
Do you know who the best manager is that they could have had?
Who, Tottenham?
Chelsea. Tuchel. Tuchel's the best manager out of all of them, and that's the one they sacked, and that's the one that beat Dortmund 4-2 at the weekend.
He was available a week
looking like
ago.
He's going to do a treble, and yeah.
There we go. Let us know your thoughts. Who will end up where? I asked this question on DR Sports on the breaking news video about Graham Potter sacking, but we want to know. Listen, I still think he's a good manager in Brendan Rodgers. Maybe, you know what? Let me not say anything because Tottenham fans will get upset with me. But, of course, lots of great managers. You mentioned Luis Enrique. I forgot about. Plenty to talk about there. What did you make of Man City's performance? Have they hit their best now? Arsenal might be happy. They've got that buffer. We didn't even touch on Arsenal. We didn't even really give the credit to Aston Villa and Emery they deserve. But we did do that on a previous show not that long ago. So, we're giving them credit. West Ham with a crucial win as well. Yeah, the Premier League, man. This is as exciting an end to a season as I've ever seen. Not just because I'm watching Arsenal title race, forget that. Just there are races everywhere, and it is brilliant. Matisse, a big thank you as always.
Pleasure.
Hope you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to DR Sports and go check out all the other content as well as On Track GP for your fix of F1. You're always there. Abby and Robbie were up at God knows what hour.
5 a.m. some madness in Australia. But it was worth it. Brilliant race. Race of the season so far.
I slept. All right, we'll see you very soon. Many thanks.